Hey guys, it's Haley and welcome to another bookish video. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some classic thriller recommendations. We're going back to my roots, okay? Y'all have been asking for just updated thriller recommendations, so that is what I'm going to give to you. These are all thrillers that I feel like maybe I haven't given enough attention to on my channel, that people still message me asking if I like them, that are underrated, things like that. So let's go ahead and get into it. Before we do, I need to address the little friend I have here. I'm wearing my Chucky shirt. I am literally obsessed with him. He's my favorite horror movie villain. The Chucky movies are literally camp. They are my favorite movies ever. So I'm very excited to have this. I kind of went crazy at Spirit Halloween because of course I did. Halloween is my favorite holiday. Duh. All I do is read thrillers and horror books and watch horror movies. So makes sense. So that is my little friend that I have down here if you were wondering what is on my shirt. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the books. I have a dozen thriller recommendations for you guys. The first one I'm going to start out with is The Stranger in the Mirror by Liv Constantine. I just read this month for my Pretty Girl book club. It was our August pick, and if you do not know about my book club yet, it is over on Patreon. So if you want to join, as always, my Patreon will be linked down below for you guys to check out. And we always have such good picks and such fun discussions. I cannot wait for our August discussion for Stranger in the Mirror. I rated this one 4 stars. I rated it really highly because I really enjoyed it. And y'all, this is just a very straightforward, fun time of a thriller. It operates on the amnesia trope, so if you like unreliable narrators who have memory problems, you will love this one. We follow our main character who has no idea what happened to her. She doesn't remember anything about her life. She remembers like how to be a human and how things work, but she doesn't know who she is, who her family is, where she's from, what has happened in her whole life. She has no idea. She just like ends up on the side of the road and this nice man picks her up and she basically starts over from scratch 20 some years into her life. And she goes on like this rebuilding for 2 years until at some point someone from her old life recognizes her and she starts to learn why she might have been blocking out pieces of the past that were just too scary to return to. So this one is super intriguing. I read it so fast in less than 24 hours because I just had to know what was going on. It sucked me in. I didn't take it too seriously. It wasn't too deep, but if you're looking for a quick read and a fun time, this is a great one, and I don't hear a lot of people talk about this one. On a very similar vein, if you really like amnesia thrillers, unreliable narrators like I do, you would also like The Replacement Wife by Darby Kane. Y'all know I am a Darby Kane stan. I absolutely loved her debut, Pretty Little Wife, and the second book that I read by her definitely did not disappoint either. This follows a married couple, but we're mainly in the wife's head as she suspects that her brother-in-law is a serial killer because all of his past partners have either gone missing or ended up dead. So we're not sure, living in this woman's head, if she is paranoid and delusional or if this man is actually a killer and he's just been getting away with it. So throughout the book, we're trying to figure out what is real, what is not. The whole book is very trippy, very fast-paced. It's like kind of just this disorienting journey. I went back and forth so many times on what I believed was actually happening, and the end blew my mind, as Darcy Kane always does. It was just so well done. I said in my vlog when I was reading this book that it felt like a classic thriller. It brought me back to reading like The Girl on the Train, The Woman in Cabin 10, all of those classic thrillers. It took me back to those moments. One of my all-time favorites that I realized I have never actually featured in a recommendation video is They Never Learn by Lane Fargo. I think I've talked about this in a few vlogs. I know y'all know that I love this book, but I've never actually fully recommended it in a dedicated thriller rec video. They Never Learn is one of my favorite books of all time. It is a good for her female serial killer POV thriller. It has very strong dark academia vibes because it's set at a college, and we are mainly following a professor at the college who picks off all of the nasty old men that work there and sexually assault female students or treat them unfairly. So she's basically like this sympathetic hero who is actually a killer. And we follow her as something goes wrong with one of the students at the school and she gets herself involved. It is so well done. I love the commentary in here. And it is just insidious. I mean, I love the voice that these characters are written with. There is a twist about halfway through that blew my mind, and the ending scene is ingrained in my brain as well, so you cannot go wrong here. If you're looking for a thriller with tail end of summer vibes, you want to go on one last vacation, I was absolutely blown away by One of the Girls by Lucy Clark. I really did not have high expectations for this one, if I'm being totally honest, but the vibes just absolutely blew me away. I loved it. We are following this hen party because it's a British thriller that takes place in Greece. This bride and all of her bridesmaids go to Greece, and all of the weird, toxic female friendships with undercurrents of obsession start coming out as these girls are on this luxury vacation. There is so much drama, so much tea, so many summer vibes. If you're looking for one last vacation before the seasonal depression sets in, this is the one. It feels like a Grecian vacation. On top of being a riveting thriller, it is so entertaining just based on the vibes alone. Another one that I love, but I feel like does not get enough airtime, is The Third Wife by Lisa Jewell. This one isn't necessarily a mystery, okay? There's nothing to really find out here except for one small element of the plot. The thrilling part of it is just the toxic, uncomfortable family dynamics that go on in this book. If you like an uncomfortable, haunting, tense atmosphere in this family, yeah, this one's for you. It's about this guy who is on his third wife, but all the previous wives and all of the kids are like one big happy family. So we are kind of exploring all of those fucked up dynamics, but the third wife is being blackmailed. She has little notes that are being left for her, telling her things, manipulating her into doing things, and we're trying to figure out who in the family is doing this and what their intentions are. So that is the mystery aspect, but honestly, the part that I loved about this book was just the weird family dynamics. If you like being a fly on the wall to all of this family drama, you're gonna love this. Also, these are rich people, so if you're a fan of rich people drama, this one too. And I never hear anyone talk about this book. It deserves so much more hype than it has. Next up, I want to recommend The Baby Shower by S.E. Lines. I'm a big fan of S.E. Lines, although I don't hear many people recommending their books. The Baby Shower follows, as you would assume, a baby shower. There is some toxic female friendships and jealousy when one person in this friendship group gets pregnant and the other women have their own issues with fertility. So something crazy ends up going down at this baby shower. If you like rich people drama, obsessive, toxic female friendships, and commentary on female friendships in general, but also just feminism and motherhood and things like that, and you want it in the background of this juicy domestic thriller set in the UK in like posh London scenes, this is the one for you. And I rarely highlight in thrillers, but I was highlighting quotes all over the place with The Baby Shower because I truly enjoyed the commentary so much on top of the thriller plot. When a thriller serves me something just a little bit extra, that's how I know it's gonna be a favorite, and that's exactly what this one did. Again, I hear nobody talk about this one. If you like rich people drama, female friendships, this is the one. Next recommendation is an oldie but a goodie, and one that people often ask me in my comments and in my DMs if I like. And that is Final Girls by Riley Sager. I feel like this is the perfect time to recommend this book. I think it's a great early fall read because it has those like horror movie tropes, the final girl trope. It's set in, I believe, like September, so the atmosphere is right. And this is my boy, one of my favorite authors, Riley Sager's debut thriller. I know this is probably his least loved thriller, but for me, I absolutely loved it. I think it is such a classic. Maybe it's just the time that I read it, but as soon as I read this book, I knew I was going to read everything this author ever wrote, and that has of course come true. We know I even stand the less popular books in Riley Sager's backlist. And Final Girls follows a group of final girls, the final surviving woman at the end of a huge massacre or tragedy. And now there's a killer going around picking them off and kind of finishing the job, if you will. So the whole mystery is trying to figure out who is behind it all, and there are many subplots around, you know, what it means to be a final girl. There's commentary there. If you're a horror fan like me, I feel like you will really like this. So I know this one is so old, but I get so many questions about it. Yes, I do in fact love this book, and I highly recommend it, especially for this time of year. Next up, I want to recommend Fierce Kingdom by Jen Phillips. This is another fairly recent read. I read it earlier this year, and it just captured my attention from page one. The entire book takes place over just a few hours, so it is super fast-paced and thrilling. And we follow a mother and son as they are trapped in a zoo during an active shooter situation. There's no mystery. We know exactly what's happening, but we are just with these characters, and the characterization is so deep, so well done, as we are rooting for them to survive. If you like a survival story and you can handle the terrifying content of seeing an active shooter situation unfold, I think you will love this one. It has that heart-pumping intensity. It's super quick. It's under 300 pages, and it is just a knockout. It knew exactly what it needed to do, and it went and did it. Also, this writing is beautiful. Not only is it a well-done thriller, but it was truly a joy to read the words that were written. Gosh, I just cannot hype up this book enough, and I feel like nobody talks about it. I don't hear nearly enough about it. Maybe it had its time on BookTube that I kind of missed out on, but I love it. A recent read that I just recently featured in a reading vlog is For Your Own Good by Samantha Downing. This is by far my favorite of all of Samantha Downing's books. And this is another one with strong dark academia vibes, so perfect for fall. We are following Professor Teddy, who is this kind of grumpy, kind of hard-ass teacher at this private school, but he's also a serial killer who has this kind of apathetic Joe Goldberg kind of attitude, and he goes around messing with students and making sure the entitled little brats at this school are punished accordingly as he sees fit. So something goes wrong when one of his intended victims gets mixed up with someone else, and a huge string of murders unfolds from there. It is so engaging. This is another one that just like gave me that feeling where I'm getting sucked in and I'm not counting the pages. I'm not even aware how far I am in the book because I am just so in the story. And this book was super visual as well. I didn't guess anything going on at any part of it. Gosh, I just loved this one, especially for fall. Honestly, the only thing I don't like about it is this ugly ass cover. Next up, we have Things We Do in the Dark by Jennifer Hillier. Obviously, you guys know Jennifer Hillier is my queen. I love her so much. Everything she's ever written has been at least a 4-star for me. She cannot write a bad book, in my opinion. And I got so many messages asking me about Things We Do in the Dark, what my rating was, what I thought about it. Y'all, maybe I just got the arc too early and I hyped it up too early before the release date. I love this one. It was 5 stars. It's one of my favorite thrillers of 2022 and favorite books in general of 2022. I absolutely ate it up. I loved it. I thought it was great. I feel like I just hyped it up a little too early. So yes, for all of you asking me, I do love Things We Do in the Dark. This book follows Paris, who has recently gone through the tragic death of her husband, who was a famous comedian, and now is, fortunately, dead, and she is inheriting his entire estate and all of his riches, because obviously he was this famous comedian, he has all of this money, and he was really old, and now she's this young girl who has suddenly come into all of this wealth. But with her notoriety, because she's on the news all the time, because people think she might have killed her husband for his money, because of her notoriety, people are seeing her on the TV, and characters from her past are coming back to interfere with her life now. It has so much drama. It has that classic Jennifer Hillier feel where you know these characters are not real people, but they just feel so genuine. They're so flawed and so dynamic and so addicting to read about. It is just so, so good. I didn't predict anything the entirety of this book. I thought that I did, but I definitely didn't. I had it completely backwards in my mind. So I absolutely love this one, and if you haven't picked it up yet, go run and get it. This is absolutely Hailey approved. Next up is another one I've gotten a ton of questions about, and that is The Island by Adrienne McKenty. I read this one earlier this year, and I really enjoyed it. This is another survival thriller, so there's no mystery. We know exactly what's going on here, but we are along for the ride with this group of characters as they try to survive something absolutely terrifying. It starts out as an idyllic Australian family vacation, but once they go to this Australian island that's a little too far off the beaten path in the Australian bush, something horrible happens and they end up trapped there, running from the locals who are basically hunting them. They have to survive on the island long enough in the wilderness to escape these people, make it back to the mainland without getting eaten by sharks or dingoes, and then try to figure out the situation that happened in the beginning, which I definitely don't want to give away because I feel like you should go into this book semi-blind. I've heard a few reviewers talk about this, and I feel like they just give away a little bit too much, so I'm gonna leave it there. Just know it is super fast-paced and heart-pumping. You can feel the effects of like the survival situation, like when they talk about the sun beating down and just like laying in the sand being so thirsty. Oh my god, it was like visceral as I was reading it. I also really found myself caring about the characters in this book. I found that that's something that really makes a survival thriller, is if you care about the characters and you are really fighting for them to survive, it just makes it so much of a more positive reading experience. I know this one's kind of divisive, but I'm definitely on the positive side. And my last recommendation I have for you guys today is a new release that just came out. That is Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. I absolutely loved this one, guys. It was so good. There are a lot of thrillers that try to come out and brand themselves as like Agatha Christie, but updated. I've never heard anyone use that description with this one, but I would actually say that that would be a pretty accurate way to introduce this book. We are following the Darker family, and they're all coming together to celebrate the old grandmother matriarch of the family's birthday, which just so happens to be on Halloween, which is fun. So the book does take place on Halloween, and there are some cutesy Halloween vibes throughout. However, it turns into kind of a Knives Out-esque situation because the grandma reveals that a fortune teller told her she would die on her 80th birthday, which they're all coming together to celebrate. So at her birthday party, she reads out the will, and many people have different reactions. to the will in the family. And so when she turns up dead, there is a lot of suspicion. Everyone's a suspect. We have no idea who committed this murder. And as the family is trapped in the house, figuring out what to do, the rest of them start getting picked off one by one. This book totally kept me guessing. I did predict a couple things in here, but I could have never predicted the ending. It goes in a direction that I feel like is going to be really divisive. Very similar to like The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager, which obviously is another favorite of this year that I highly recommend. Or what was the one I just talked about? Like The Island, the way that those are very, very divisive in the way that they take a turn. This one is like that as well. So if it sounds like that is the type of twist that you like, you're gonna love this one, but I guarantee you, you will not predict it. Either way, it's done really well, and there's some really great commentary in here about intergenerational trauma and just the nuances of family dynamics. Our main character that we follow is the youngest sister in the family, so there's a lot of talk of like sibling dynamics and what that means for mental health. We also have a disabled main character. She has a heart condition that deeply affects the way that she lives her life, and seeing that like chronic health condition representation was really great, especially if you're a person that feels like you can't participate fully in life sometimes because of health things. I feel like that all the time because of PCOS lately. So it was great to get that representation. Great to have these beautiful quotes in here, and also have a really intriguing thriller plot. Overall, I loved this one, and I can't wait for you guys to see the vlog where I read this because I had so much fun with it. So that is going to be it for all of my thriller recommendations today. I hope you guys got some good ones. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to read a book and go to therapy this week. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!